Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance broadcast. Usually we jump in with a lot of high energy here, but as we're recording this episode today, we found out the sad news that the Star Wars family, community, fandom, galaxy lost a legend, one of the originals. Peter Mayhew, aka Chewbacca, passed away a couple nights ago, and it was just announced today. So fandom's kind of reeling, and we're kind of sad here on the Resistance broadcast. So before we get into our show, which we are going to get into our normal show, our Monday show, we just want to take a few minutes here to talk about Peter Mayhew and his impact on the saga and all that stuff. So James, Lacey, you were the first one to told me about it. Then James called me and told me about it. What was your reaction to the news, and what are your thoughts on just losing a legend, one of the originals of this saga that has spanned over 40 years, Peter Mayhew?
Well, the first thing that went through my head was that I was going to tell you because you like Chewie, and I felt really bad. Yeah. The second thing was that it's super depressing to think that your childhood heroes aren't going to be here forever. And I think that's something that like I constantly am having trouble with, is like, wait, what do you mean they're not going to be there? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like super sad. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to get upset, but it's very, very sad, and I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I know that within our Patreon chat, a lot of people were talking about, how they got the opportunity to meet him, and I'm seeing a lot of that on Twitter as well. And I never did. I've actually never met any of the people, so there's a little bit of a disconnect there, which is kind of good. But I mean, I'm in the still boat with everybody else. But I think pretty often before even this happened, like, what it would be like to meet him specifically, because of I don't know, like his size, and everybody says like his eyes and things, mm-hmm. That were so distinct. And I always think about that whenever I see a picture of him, I'm like, man, his eyes really were like so blue. And then when you cross over, you can see it in Chewbacca, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I think he's been ill for a long time, so a lot of people saying like, well, he's better now, kind of thing. But yeah, it's rough. It's a little rough. Yeah.
Yeah. I was bummed up to hear it. And, you start thinking about that kind of thing. Like even though she was really young for passing away, Carrie Fisher was 60. You're like, you realize like, these people are getting up there, and, we're saying goodbye to them. And we even said on our breakdown of the trailer last week, how it's kind of like Mark Hamill saying, we'll always be with you. Like, that's just brutal, because you think about it, and they're not going to always be here, literally. But like Peter Mayhew, it's funny, you ever hear interviews with him, and he's not a big wordsmith. He often stumbles over his words, and he's very slow talking, and it's almost like how you would think Chewbacca would be if he spoke English in a way sometimes. And then you think like his physical stature, and he kind of had bow legs. And when you watch Chewie standing in the old trilogy, he'd had like bowed legs. And there's only a certain way that Peter Mayhew can make Chewie look, even though Jonas is awesome. There was just that distinct level to him. And then a couple things. That photo that J.W. Rinsler put in the making of Star Wars, it's him in half his Chewie outfit with the Chewie glove on, smoking a cigarette with Kenny Baker next to him in the Playboy t-shirt, I think is one of the best photos I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And then my favorite anecdote, I would say, is him talking about when they were filming in the Redwoods for Return of the Jedi. He said during off takes, he had to wear a neon orange vest because hunters thought he was like Bigfoot, and they were like, he thought people were like, he would have, and this is no joke, like he thought he would have been shot. Yes, he thought that he would have been shot if he was they thought he was a creature in the woods, so he had to wear like a neon vest between takes. But I don't know, I never got to meet him. He did tweet me one time sending me a Chewie hug, and I'm gonna laminate a tweet if I can laminate a tweet, but I'm just kind of bummed out.
You could print it out and laminate a tweet.
I could.
He's a really nice guy.
Did you meet him?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, mm-hmm. He was really nice. The last time I met him was 2016 in Europe. I was at the bar one night after the show, and I turn around and I see knees. So like me sitting normally right now, his knee is like next to me.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like standing there, and I look over, and there's like a knee at my eye height, and I'm like, what the? And I look over, and there he is, and he's just chilling. And I said hi, and he said, hey, how's it going? I said, good.
Did he have his lightsaber cane?
I think so. He had he had a cane. I didn't really notice what kind of cane.
He had one made out of like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, but I think even up to his death, he was like 7'2". It's crazy how tall he was, but
I just remember feeling bad that people kept coming up to him asking for a picture. And I was very proud that he kept being like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, you tell him."
He's like, give me $50.
But he was always so sweet, and like he would like hear them out and be like, "Oh, thank you so much," and then they'd move on. But yeah, he was really nice guy.
Yeah,
very quiet, very, very quiet compared to like Mark Hamill, who's like in your face, bleh, love you.
And Anthony Daniels, that type of he's the opposite.
He's
type
kind of like
personality.
the quiet, calming energy to the group.
Well, my best, I tried to look up some interviews with him before we recorded because we heard this about an hour before we started here, and one interview was him talking with one of the original women who interviewed the actors during when Star Wars first came out. She's this very polite and southern and very nice woman and naive in a sense. And he's like, I go to 20 to 30 conventions a year. And she's like, does it get hot wearing the costume? And he's like, I don't wear the costume to the conventions. He's like, he goes, I guess if I let my hair down, I could kind of look like him. But I don't know, just his whole demeanor and everything, and how he described Chewie as the teddy bear and the security blanket for the whole group. I started getting a little choked up at about that part, but I don't know. Do you guys have any final words about Peter Mayhew?
I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, I know that when we were talking, John, you mentioned the whole like there was 6 of them. Like there's the core 3, but then there's also Chewbacca, R2D2, and C-3PO in
Billy
that.
D. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. And I guess it's just interesting that of those 6 is what I was saying is that half of them have now passed. So.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. So you got Mark Harrison and Anthony still with us. But as they say, let the Wookiee win, but you can't let the Wookiee win if he won your heart many, many years ago. So rest in peace, Peter Mayhew. All right, guys. So we have to try to put a show together for you guys because we know it's Monday, and the last thing you want to do is be sad. And we're all gonna get through losing Peter together here, but we're gonna try to do our best by honoring him by talking about Star Wars like we always do. So the best way to start things off are by getting into what you guys had to say in this week's poll results. All right, now we asked you guys. The Rise of Skywalker is being billed as the conclusion to the Skywalker saga, but the episodic stories could continue without the Skywalkers. So do you think there will be a Star Wars Episode 10 at some point down the line? Not necessarily if you want one or don't want one, but if you think it will happen. So we gave you guys 3 choices, yes, no, or I can't decide. And this is what we got here. So we have 8% of you are still not sure, can't decide. 32% said no. You think this is really it? This is the last time we're going to see an episodic Star Wars film ever. And 60%, about 3 out of 5 of you, well, exactly 3 out of 5 of you say, yes, we will see an episode 10 at some point, however long down the line that may be. James, Lacey, guys, 3 out of 5 saying episode 10. How'd you vote? And what'd you think of the results this week?
I said I think there will be an episode 10. That I guess that makes sense that they would do that. I think the key thing here is the end of the Skywalker saga. They're not saying end of the episodic Star Wars.
Right.
That's the main thing to me that it show. And then they're saying we have future plans with these characters, and it's like, so I'm getting tea leaves here,
right?
So, Lacey, are you the same way, or did you say no?
I said yes. I absolutely like Lucasfilm and Disney like money. So if they're gonna make more movies to make
especially
more money,
Disney.
Yeah. So it's just silly, especially because after Celebration, when JJ had the whole cast up there of the new characters. With the exception of obviously Lando and Anthony Daniels, but the newer people were kind of the focus of that panel. And it just shows me that Disney's focused on these new characters that are their characters. And there's a whole generation that this is their trilogy. So why wouldn't Disney continue doing that? That would just be silly.
Yeah, the stage, the mural has that portion of episode 9 has all the modern new characters, and then that leaked poster we saw has all them. So it's all pointing to them really standing behind this new generation. So I would say
there's no missed opportunities there.
Oh, burn.
Hey, question, it is a side poll between the two of you. Do you guys not have much faith in movies after that aren't called episode 10, 11, 12?
Oh, no, I definitely do.
No, I do. Yeah.
We were just talking about the saga.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I don't know,
excited for
like
Rian Johnson stuff and the other guys. I always
because I hear that.
The
I hear that
guys.
sometimes it's like that of course they're going to make 10, 11, and 12 because they like money, or they'll never give up on this. I'm like, but they're not giving up on Star Wars. Star Wars is still going to be around.
I'll say
and
this.
heavy.
I don't think they're giving up, and I don't think I ever said they were giving up. I just said they like money.
Yeah, I think I'd be shocked if new Star Wars stories that are about new characters do what these movies do financially. I'll put it that way. So while they'll be successful and they'll do well, it'll be like Ant-Man compared to, not Ant-Man, but compared to Infinity War.
Right. So it's like individual character movies versus the Avengers. Everyone's going to go see the Avengers.
Right,
Everyone loves the Avengers because it's the big group together. But maybe someone won't see Ant-Man and the Wasp, and someone won't see Thor Ragnarok, or someone might not see, which is a complete, I know everyone is, but someone might not see Black Panther, but everyone's going to Avengers.
Right.
Yeah, but everybody went to Black Panther.
That's why I just said that.
It beat the other two Avengers.
That's why I just prefaced that, saying
I don't know.
Probably not the case, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's kind of looking at it like the Fantastic Beast series, you know. It's not going to be the same, it'll be like whatever.
I don't like comparing franchises. I never did like that. Just like when people try to compare sports, like a football player versus a basketball player, like you can't do it. But I like, all right, so I voted yes to put that out there. I think it will happen because you have these actors and they're still young, and you have a story you can tell. And if Kathleen Kennedy's saying you're going to continue stories with these characters, they're not going to end episode 9 in such an epic way and then be like, and here's a comic book with Rey. No, they're going to make more movies. Come on. And we have other people who have something to say about that. And we had a best comment, and it's a man named Jerry, known as Canon Junkie, aka Junkie Canon, a patron of ours. How are you, Jerry?
Hi, Canon Junkie.
Hey.
He said, we will most likely get new Saga films. They just won't be centered on the Skywalkers. I could see a new episodic saga about Rey, Finn, and Poe, and possibly Ben Solo. I don't know about that.
Nope.
Well, yeah.
Yay! I love this.
But thank you for that, Jerry. You killed the comment game. So good job, man. All right. So now typically we would send it over to James for the Resistance report, but there's no news. Like it's bad. It's like as dry as a Jakku desert. So
don't take this away from me.
Yeah. So Han Solo is going to be silenced today. The Resistance is not flying over the waters of Takodana this time, James. So you get a week.
I should add it in with just like, it's not the Resistance.
Yeah, it's not the Resistance.
Yeah. It's clearly me not like blowing out the mic.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here instead is, you guys have been sending us a lot of questions. We don't always get to all of them, but we're going to try to do our best to do that, because we're going to do an all Ask the Resistance rest of the way on the episode here. So I hope Lacey is ready to fire these off at us. So what we're going to try to do here is segment them by how you sent them for past stuff, present stuff, and the future. And hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So Lacey, are you ready for the juggernaut of Ask the Resistance this week?
My time has come.
The time of vacance.
The time is now. Sure, I guess so.
All right. So I guess what we'll do differently here, instead of saying you'll take this one, I'll take this one, you'll take this one, we'll all attack each question, spend a minute or two on them, and then when you feel like we've had enough, we can move on.
Or James and I answer everything and John says nothing.
That sounds right.
I can leave. We can do that.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure there's some chores I can do around here. Somewhere.
This is when Lacey's like swapping.
Lazy?
I corrected it to lazy. It
Freudian slip.
Gosh. No, this is when her skills of like shifting us around, like, John, you do this one first. James, you do this one first, kind of thing.
I feel like I've been attacked.
Because I accidentally said lazy.
All right, James, editing James, why don't you roll the intro to this segment?
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
What are midichlorians?
What are midichlorians?
All right, guys, this is a super packed Ask the Resistance. You have a ton of Star Wars questions, and we're going to have a ton of hopefully good Star Wars answers. All right, so like John said, we broke this up into past, present, and future. So we're going to start with the past. It's kind of like Christmas Carol right now. All right.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one with Bill Murray where the same day happens?
That's Groundhog
No, it's Jim Carrey,
Day.
and he's animated.
No, Muppet Christmas Carol. God.
Mickey Mouse.
I like the one with Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
No, that one's depressing. Okay, so first up is Jacob Evans at Valorious80. And he asks, do you guys think that Captain Phasma is gone for good, or do you think she will appear in episode 9, or in a book, or in a comic, after the events of episode 8? John, I hear you're a huge Phasma fan. We'll start with you.
Yeah, it was like my kind of bold take because we had to make bold guesses for our trailer predictions. I was like, maybe we'll see Phasma come back. And I just really like Gwendolyn Christie a lot. I think she is an absolute darling on the press and the interviews, and she's so entertaining. And I felt like Phasma could have been such a cool character, and they just didn't know what to do with her. So I would love to see her come back, but I don't think she is going to come back post episode 8 at all. So whether that's a comic or a book, I don't think it's a Boba Fett thing. I think Fett's definitely coming back, but I just more and more as time goes on, I feel like, don't you guys feel like that Phasma's she died and that's pretty much it? I don't know. I'm starting to get that feeling, even though I really do wish they did more with the character.
James?
So long. See you later. It was fun while it lasted.
What song is that?
I just made it up.
Oh.
Goodbye, Miss Phasma. She's gone. Yeah. If they're ever going to do anything with her, it's going to be as a prequel, Resistance era. Not that. They want to conclude her story as Finn actually having won that battle, and bringing her back would be like bringing back Palpatine or something. So silly. Gosh.
I think
you comparing Phasma to Palpatine?
No, I'm saying bringing back a character who was clearly defeated by a good guy would just be ridiculous.
It's so weird, right? They'd never do that.
They wouldn't do that. So.
I mean, they only did it between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi again.
Jeez. All right.
What is this shtick you're doing now? What is this fake laugh guy?
It's lazy inspired me earlier.
Stop calling me lazy. Can we not make this a thing?
It's your turn to answer the question.
Guys, don't make this a thing. I got made fun of so bad in middle school being called that. So please don't do this to me.
Oh, I see what it is. It's like one of those like what do you call it? Those like psychological things that it's like it's burned in her brain.
I'm having a panic attack.
We know how to handle this from now on. We got a lot of questions.
I know. I'm trying to answer about Phasma. So guys, do you remember when the first trailer came out and Phasma was walking through the battlefield and everyone went, oh my goodness, she has like mirror armor on, and how cool it was.
Battlefield? Are you talking about that village that they just murdered? That was no battlefield.
No, she was in... Or maybe it was a poster. I'm thinking of a poster. I apologize. There was a poster of her like in a battlefield with like ruins behind her. I have it.
Oh, yeah.
I could post it on Twitter so you guys know what I'm talking about.
I would actually like to see that.
Okay, you can have it if you want. Anyway, so I remember seeing that, and in the trailer as well, seeing her in the trailer, and you're like, oh, she has like mirror armor. She's super cool. It's a woman. All right. She's going to be so bad.
Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, like... she's gonna kill it. And then she did nothing. And then she got thrown in a trash compactor. And then she came back and you were like, oh, now she's gonna have her time.
Right.
And she didn't.
Right.
And So no, they're not going to bring her back because if they were going to do that, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
Read the Phasma novel. It's good.
How she died is, but she's not in that. And it's all about Gwendolyn Christie, to me.
What if Phasma is Palpatine?
What? Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
How she died though, she was like kicking her legs and like her arms. It was like
and flames. It was very like.
It was so like pathetic how she went out. And it just like it bothered me. But yeah, I don't think we're seeing her again, Jacob. But
sorry, Jacob.
Thanks for bringing that up.
All right, next is Stephen N Sanna at Stephen N Sanna.
Whoa! Look at this guy getting his handle.
He asks, "Do you think the details? Do you think the deaths of the Mortis gods was something that had to happen for the Chosen One prophecy to come true? Wasn't the Father the original Chosen One?" I'm going to have James do this because I feel like you talk about the Mortis a lot.
Well, I thought we were all talking about him, no?
I'm just starting with James.
Yeah, starting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And she'll start with the next one, Mixta.
What? You just gave it away. Now he knows he has a question coming up.
Now he's going to keep listening. This is how this is called retention, John. Retention.
He's like, I hope there's not another Mixta.
Yeah. This one kind of threw me for a loop. I read this and I was like, I don't think that's the case. I don't think the Father was the original Chosen One. I think Anakin was his thing, although he was meant to take over as the Father.
Hey James, can you take one step back? And for people that are listening that might not know what they're referring to, can you just give a couple sentences on what he's talking about?
So the Mortis arc is a 3-episode little thing that they did for the Clone Wars series, and it was about Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka getting kind of like off the radar in the middle of space as they entered into this zone. And they found this planet and these beings where one was called the daughter, one was called the son, and one was called the father. And the son was very dark side heavy, and the daughter was very light side heavy, and the father was supposed to be the one that kind of like balanced his children. And so Anakin had to make some tough choices, and there was a lot of stuff that went on, but he ended up kind of, in a way, just within this arc, bringing balance to the Force. And then he said, like, if you continue down this path, you will once again bring balance to the Force and stuff. It's very definitely proving that he was the Chosen One, in my opinion. So if you still think Anakin isn't, or Luke is, or something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't think he was meant to be, or I don't think the Father was the Chosen One. But I don't know about this whole like the prophecy thing, but I do know that in Master Apprentice they're talking a lot about prophecy. So I'm in the middle of it right now. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Maybe we can get back to this some point. Maybe we'll have a stronger answer once more canon material comes out.
And who knows if it was like real, because it's in a different realm and time didn't change for them when they came out or something,
there's things in Rebels though with
right,
like physical artwork and stuff. I don't know. I get an impression that it's real, considering like things that happened to Ahsoka. Like she like kind of died, and then like her spirit was connected with the daughter, and then there's like the owls and stuff from Rebels, and I don't see it being a big imaginary in your head thing.
It's like, to me, that this was like, sorry Lacey, were you gonna go in there?
I'm gonna be completely honest, and there's nothing I can say that will be better than James's answer, so you guys do your thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm not disagreeing with James's answer, but I'm trying to think of that episode arc, which I've only watched twice. I'm sure, James, you watched it way more than that. So
yeah, probably like 5.
Isn't that where Anakin gets his first premonition of becoming Darth Vader? He when he's
sort of
he like sees himself in the costume and that sort of thing. And doesn't Qui-Gon appear there as well at some point?
I believe what you're referring to. So when he has a premonition about his mother, and then she like turns out to be like something that isn't his mom, and he gets really mad, and he has this moment where he's like yelling, and like behind him, like the smoke and dust and stuff makes the form of Vader.
That's okay, right? It's
so it's not like he's like
seeing
himself, but it is kind of this like, if you continue down this path, the future,
right? So I always saw this arc as like a very Inception type of thing, because not only are they in a weird realm, but then he goes into another realm within his head, and it's like just so layered with dimensions and images and visions that it's just one of the most chaotic things I've seen in Star Wars. And I know fans are huge on it, and I found it very interesting enough to have watched it twice, but I watched
it twice right as soon as I finished it.
James like just watched it twice just now.
Three. No, yeah, I know. But
I went through all three,
and then
Mortis.
I went back and rewatched all three.
You just came back, and the time didn't change. You just watched it twice in the span of the last 3 seconds. So there you go. But I don't know about the Chosen One thing. I agree with you. I don't know that changes anything, especially for fans who don't even know what Mortis is. To have that change something about Anakin being the Chosen One would be hard for me to believe.
Yeah. Again, I don't think I could have answered better than you guys. I've only seen this storyline like once. When things get too hard to think about, I tend to tune out.
It's tough. I don't even remember a lot of the things.
It's hard to follow sometimes because Dave Filoni and like some of the storylines he comes up with and other writers come up with, it's just like, I'm like, you're way smarter than me.
And it's just a lot of content, like some 7 of the best seasons Star Wars. 20 episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
I know.
insanity.
It's so good. Anyway, Steven, thank you for your question. Next is Mixter, surprise, at Mixta110. And they ask, do you reckon Palpatine created the Skywalkers as a way to cheat death, ... is playing the long game? Now, I can't honestly start first on this question. John, your boy Palpatine, do you think he created the Skywalkers to cheat death and is playing the long game?
I do not buy this whole potential angle that Palpatine created the Skywalkers. I know there's the opening there because Anakin was... created without a father and that sort of thing, but that is way too much for me to say that our heroes were constructed by an evil entity. I don't like that. That doesn't give me hope. That doesn't do anything for me. I like Luke being the farm boy who grew into greatness. I like the
on
idea
his own, right? Yeah.
I like the idea that Anakin was spawned from the Force to combat the Sith. I like that. So the idea of Palpatine saying like, in 80 years, this will pay off. Like that's a long game. So I don't like that. I hope they don't try to introduce that. I think they tried to dabble with that by saying, look at this vision in the Moment comic from Vader. And fans were like, nope, that's only a vision. I don't like that. And they're probably like, okay, well, reel that back. So I don't like it. So
Can you do that again?
Reeling it back. We got to reel that Jack's fish back in.
You look like you're in a Smash Mouth video.
Yeah. Well, we might as well be walking on the sun if we're going to say that Palpatine created the Skywalkers. So.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think the idea that he created them is just kind of crazy to me. And I know it's stemming from that comic, right? That everyone's like, oh my God, he put the baby there.
I think that recently, anyway, yes.
Recently.
No, recently.
I don't like the idea of that. The long game side of this argument or question, I could see that he's playing the long game, but not because he planned it, only because he's doing what has worked out for him. So, like, if he has been there the whole time and he's been pulling the strings, and we're going to find out, obviously, in episode 9, if he is, it's only out of circumstance that things worked out. Because I feel like throughout the series, it's constantly like he's doing things and he's like, everything's going according to plan. But I feel like he's constantly dodging and weaving with 2 or 3 extra plans. Kind of like James going into the panel that we had with like 6 different plans in case something went wrong. I feel like Palpatine's just like a really good planner and like rolls up to these like evil mastermind plans with like 6 options, and like he's playing the long game because he's on option 6.
Yeah, like one of these have to work kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's like, oh wait, I'm still alive? Weird. Let's go back to plan number 3.
I have another point, but I want to hear what James is going to disagree with what I said, I bet, but let's see.
I love his pondering face. Go ahead.
No,
James's pondering face is a very good pondering face.
I think that I'm 75%. I don't want that to be the case, and 25%. I think that's probably what they're going to do.
Really?
And yeah. The reason is because I think whenever plans get set for episode 9, that's when the story group starts to be able to lock that in and start planting seeds along the way. So I could see that being the case. The other thing too is that you got to make Palpatine have some sort of presence over the whole thing, and just him being brought back to life. I don't know. It feels like there needs to be some sort of connection of like I know he was there from the beginning, but I mean like some sort of like
right. What's his tie? Because what's the point? Yeah. Why this family?
Yeah. And the third thing is that I think that all the storytellers really represent George's ideas as best as they can, and this was one of George's ideas because it was like a deleted scene. It was kind of like supposed to be that, and they never did it. So maybe in like someone's head, it's like this is how it went. We just didn't actually publish that idea, but this is the truth or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I kind of don't want it to happen, but I kind of think that that's probably the direction they'll go.
Another thing we have to take into consideration here, like, did he create them as a way to cheat death? Like, Palpatine was I
don't know about that.
He was a BS artist because he talked to Anakin about how Plagueis taught Palpatine everything he knew, or his apprentice everything knew, who we found, obviously it's Palpatine, even the ability to manipulate midichlorians to create life. And then when he finally gets Anakin to turn, he's like, well, I don't know how to do that yet, but together we can find the secret. Like, he keeps putting the hook out there, and then he's
Since you're here.
bring it back. Let's bring it back.
I'm telling you. Plan 4, plan 5, plan 6.
It's all about, it's like the serpent with the fruit. It's the temptation thing. That's what Palpatine does. He doesn't really know anything, but he baits you with this temptation that you can potentially do this. And then once he has you, he's like, well, we don't really have it, but now that you're with me, we can figure it out. So
it's like getting stuck in a really bad timeshare meeting.
I've never been in one of those, but I bet it's horrible. But so if you guys don't want Palpatine to be the Skywalker daddy, then say #no Papa Palpatine.
Don't say daddy again.
No Papa Palpatine.
#no Papa Palpatine. And then if you want to sprinkle in a couple of #cackles, I appreciate it.
No.
This should be our biggest comment YouTube video ever. Like, I want every answer.
Yeah.
In
James
separate comments.
Demands it.
In separate comments. So not like, here are my takes, and it's like a giant thing. Right. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh, geez. Okay, so we've done the past. Now we are moving on to the present. Episode 9. First up is Justin Adams at JustinAdams24. And he asks, if we are assuming that Sheevy Babes is coming back, where does that put the future of the Sith and rule of 2? Prior to Snoke's death, wouldn't there have been 3 with Palpy Hun being the puppet master? I'm assuming that's... Wait, what? Is that Palpatine?
Yeah, I think he's trying to do his own version of Sheevy Babes.
So he's not saying Sheevy Babes again? Okay, I appreciate that, Justin. Being the puppet master? Thoughts? Again, John, I can't honestly answer this first. I think you gotta... It even has Sheevy Babes in it. What do you think?
Palpy Hun. James, did we make the wrong t-shirt?
Yeah, maybe. You know what, though? I will say this. He's assuming that Snoke and Kylo Ren are Sith.
Right. So we have to clarify that Snoke and Kylo Ren were not Sith.
Kylo Ren is definitely not a Sith. Homegirl at Celebration on the stage said that he was a Sith. She was like 8, and I was like, no, he is not. And I yelled at her. He's not
that. Everybody was like, boo.
Yeah.
This 8-year-old
and
girl
then the guy was
booed.
like, are we really like gonna not give it to her?
I was the one booing her. Not a Sith.
So
go ahead, John.
The rule of 2 thing, as far as we stand now, entering episode 9, there are no Sith that we know of. So If the Sith are to return, and they do return via 2, does that mean with Palpatine returning, we're going to get another Sith? Does that mean Kylo Ren finally becomes a Sith in Episode 9? So that is interesting if the Sith are indeed to return. And we all know Palpatine was a Sith. So that does make things interesting. But because Snoke and Kylo Ren were not Sith, there's no going against the rules there. They were just, the Sith were still not around. So that's my take on that.
James?
Yeah, I think the question itself, in a way, is sort of flawed in the sense of like, what happens to the rule of 2 now? And it's like it's already been squashed. It was squashed in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, right.
So I think to ask the question is kind of I don't know. There isn't really a good answer other than the question itself doesn't really work. And I don't mean that as a flaw, but or as a you have a bad
criticism.
Question. Yeah, criticism. Yeah, but I think that's a tricky thing with the Snoke and the Kylo thing. I could understand the mishap of like one's the master and the other's the apprentice, and now was there really someone pulling the strings the whole time? I understand where it's coming from, but I think the best answer is it was already done. Lacey, you too?
But thanks for using Chiefy Babes.
Unless Snoke's the apprentice and Palpatine was the master and the rule of 2 still exists.
Lacey, go ahead.
I don't know about that.
So I think that
I don't think that the rule of 2 is going to happen or is happening in the sequel trilogy. I think that Snoke was just a figurehead. I don't think Kylo Ren / Ben Solo is a Sith, ever was a Sith. He's a wannabe Sith. Like, he wants to be bad, but he's not.
What percentage do you think he could become one?
I want to be bad.
Make it look so good. That's such a good throwback song.
Is that Dream?
No, that's Willa Ford. Well done, James. All right, so people are going to go Google what song that is.
Yeah.
Did she become Kesha?
No, it's Willa Ford. All right, so Puppet Master is the term that jumped out to me because I do think Palpatine has been... Ford. Oh my God. Palpatine has been pulling the strings this whole time, and I've thought that as soon as I heard the cackle. And it explains a lot because when we got the movies back, the first thing I thought was like, why are there stormtroopers again? And why is there another Death Star type thing again? And if Palpatine has been pulling the strings, he could be trolling everyone, being like, you don't realize I'm back? Look how blatantly obvious I'm being that I'm back. So to me, that's kind of funny. Anyway, thanks for your question, Justin. Hopefully you got a pretty good answer. Next up is John Reese. Hi, John.
Hello, John Reese.
He asks, how do you think Daisy Ridley feels about having to keep quiet for the next 8 months that she delivers?
I've been watching.
That she delivers the final saber blow to Adam. Well, John, I'm going to answer your question with a question of how dare you that you think that this is going to happen. I refuse to answer that question because I don't think it's going to happen. However, I will answer that I think Daisy is going to have a tough time keeping any secrets to herself for 8 months. Luckily, I think she has John and Oscar and, other people to talk to about it. So it's not that bad. And supposedly her and Adam are BFFs as well. So I'm sure she if I was her, I'd text random people being like, so can we talk about this again? Because I'm just thinking about it.
Well, also she's going to have to spend a lot of time on the marketing campaign for Ophelia.
Yes. And everyone's going to just ask her Star Wars questions because Adam just got nominated for a Tony. And the first thing everybody asks is hey, how about Star Wars? And he's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Ophelia. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. But that being said, I think it's going to be tough for her. But she's a pro. If there's one thing we learned about Daisy at Celebration is that she is the best at dodging questions. She must have taken the J.J. Abrams dodging question class because she is a professional. They'll be like, so what do you think about this? She's like, I don't know. Is something going to happen? And everyone's like, what? I just asked you if you wanted a sandwich. I don't know. Right. Do I want a sandwich?
Yeah.
It's like the 40-year-old virgin, when he's asking girls questions and he's like, are you fine? She goes, I don't know. Are you fine?
Yeah, right.
Whatever. Anyway, John, what do you think of John's question? I'm assuming you like it.
No, yeah, I think it's funny. I think he just did it to get a rise out of you, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But yeah, I think Daisy Ridley, she's a seasoned vet at this point, and if she survived doing TFA when she was very green at this whole thing, she'll be fine now. And she probably has an index card of 5 stock answers that she gives people, and you've seen at Celebration. She gives the same answers to the same people to the same questions. So that's pretty much. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
That's what she says.
Or she plays dumb when she's like, is he? Oh, I never thought about that like that.
That's a terrible accent. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
sorry to our British listeners.
James?
I don't think it's hard to keep secrets. So
James has a lot of secrets.
Yeah. When people tell me things, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Am I allowed to tell people? No? Okay. All right. Then I just won't. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, there's that. So
awesome. Thanks, John, for your question. And I hope you're doing well. We loved meeting you at Celebration. Okay.
Love my Lego Han.
Yes, my Kylo. Next is Len Brown. Hi, Len.
What's up,
He's
Len?
one of our patrons. He asks, at R2_Len.
Yeah.
He is the biggest R2 stan. Yeah. So Len asks, how many main characters will we lose in the Rise of Skywalker? Under 2 or 2 and over? Ooh. James, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think we losing?
Starting with me, I say 2 and over.
Name them.
Palpatine and Kylo Ren. I mean, I think if I thought about it more, maybe others, but that's a solid answer. I think Palpatine is like done. But then also, like, if there's going to be a character that dies, it's probably also Kylo
Ren. John?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same answer. I think Palpatine, even though he may like still be dead, so he may not come back as Palpatine. It may be like one of those things where people are going to be like, well, it's not really Palpatine. His body was still whatever.
Is it though?
Yeah. Right, yeah. Is it? I never thought of it that way. She always does that head tilt like, oh. And
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Kylo Ren for sure. I don't know if they're going to kill any of our heroes. And I don't know, when you say main characters, does that also mean like, where's the net? Like, is Rose a main character? I don't think so.
Yes.
You think so?
She's at least a secondary character.
But she's not a main character then.
So
he said main characters.
All right.
So I think just Kylo Ren, and then if Palpatine comes back and he's like, I'm back in my body, then and he dies again, then yes, I say 2 and over. But if he doesn't come back in my body, then 1, then less than 2, Len. So there you go. And R2, R2's not dying, Len. I got you, buddy.
The only guy who's trying to cheat death in the Star Wars galaxy dies twice.
It's true. You had one job, Palpatine.
That's awesome.
Who do I think is gonna die? I would say 2 and over. I think Poe's gonna die, and I think Palpatine's gonna die. And if we're going into secondary characters, I think Rose is gonna die. And she's going to be the driving force for Finn to do whatever he has to do the rest of the movie. She's going to die early on.
How many driving forces does that guy need?
Yeah, but he hasn't had someone...
I'm not quite there yet.
I meant it in like... It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing. Like, yeah, you see people die or you see wrong things happening, but when it directly affects you right in front of you...
Mm-hmm. That was Slips.
Like an Uncle Ben type situation?
Yeah, I only feel like with Finn, because he was ready to give his life literally at the end of The Last Jedi. So I don't know what more you can ask from him. But I understand what you're saying.
She gave her life for him.
She protected him, yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know if he needs that push, but I could see Rose dying. I mean,
and she could potentially be his first kiss if he didn't kiss anybody before her in Stormtrooper school.
You don't think him and Phasma just like, you busy
smooching?
Yeah.
Meet me in the hall closet.
That's why she's always like, put your helmet back on. I don't want to look at that beautiful face.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
People do like enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Next, thanks, Len, is Lyndon Kaiser at Lyndon Kaiser.
Is it Kaiser?
No, it's just Kaiser.
Oh, okay.
And
way to get your handle.
Yeah. They ask if episode 9 is a satisfying sequel trilogy conclusion. Won't that crown JJ as George Lucas's creative successor for Saga Star Wars? ? He created the new sequel trilogy leads, completed their arcs. I would be disappointed if the Rey team continued adventures beyond episode 9 without JJ's direct involvement. James, how do you feel about JJ's involvement? Do you think it was important to this sequel? Do you think if they went on without JJ, it would cause any problems?
Well, yeah, JJ created the sequel trilogy the same as George created the original trilogy, and he actually directed 2 of the movies, whereas George only directed 1 of them. But I think no matter how big of an impact JJ could ever make, it would be like, yeah, but George, you wouldn't have been able to do that without George. So he'll never be able to top that. But I think he will definitely take his place. As far as characters going on past the movies without JJ's direct involvement, I'm fine with that. I don't think it's that big of a deal, considering I know people don't like what Ryan did or whatever, but I did, and I'm fine with that. So, give another director another shot to take the mantle over. We could get we had like 4 or 5 Harry Potter movies before we got the one that like finished out the entire series, because once they had that person, they're like, oh, this is great. He's got the characters, he understands the characters, so we're good with
and I couldn't even name who directed those movies. Like, people only care about who directs Star Wars movies for some reason.
The guy that just won the Oscar, Alfonso whatever, did the best one. He did Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, is his last name actually or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know his last name. I'm very bad with last names. Sorry.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah, I don't know. Successor doesn't mean he's better
David
than
Yates
George.
Is the one I was talking about.
It just means he is anointed as the new great Star Wars creator. Not that he's better than George. So successor just means someone who takes over, I guess. But so I would say yes, he's the only person who's ever directed more than one Star Wars movie besides George Lucas. He ushered in a whole new generation of characters and gave Star Wars a modern pulse again. So I say absolutely to that. And yes, I am concerned if they move on with Rey and these characters without J.J. Abrams and without John Williams, to be honest with you, because John Williams' impact on these characters and these stories is even 40 years later still underrated. So I do have concerns about that kind of thing, but hopefully they don't Jurassic Park the hell out of this thing.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think JJ's proven that Star Wars, at least the sequel trilogy, is his kind of baby. He created these characters. He created Kylo Ren, created Rey, all these other things. I think he did it consciously with George's involvement and other people's involvement. We talked a little bit on the last week's episode about how he loves the collaborative process and working with others. I think JJ is going to go down in history as him and Dave Filoni are the only really trusted storytellers for George that he would trust his characters with, knowing that they would welcome his input and thoughts in the process if they needed it, or if George wanted to give input, they would listen. And I think that's important, especially someone like George. I can only imagine these characters are constantly living in his head all the time. Like, they're part of who he is, like what he puts on screen and in stories, and they're from his own mind. So I can imagine that there's a little stress and pressure that comes with that. And I think JJ and Dave Filoni have handled it so well that, yeah, he is perfectly good. He could do whatever he wants and George would support it. I would be disappointed if JJ had nothing to do with these characters ever again, because they are his characters, and I would be worried what people would do with them. And John makes a great point about Jurassic Park. You never know what people are going to do with these characters. And even saying, and I know we just talked about not comparing franchises, but I love Harry Potter. I grew up with Harry Potter. Fantastic Beasts is terrible. I couldn't even make it through 10 minutes of the first one because it's just so bad.
Fantastic Beasts.
It's just so bad.
There's something to be said, Lacey, about what I just said about like, hey, we got our guy, and that's David Yates, right? And he landed it. He totally nailed it all the way going home. Now maybe he's been with them for too long, and he can't. He's not able to do that because they're like, oh well, David's gonna do the Fantastic Beast movie. That makes so much sense. But sometimes, like, you get two in your head, and
that was a criticism George heard about the prequels. People are like, you're too in his head. You're too into this that you are second guessing how this thing came to be from the beginning. So yeah.
Right, because you have to think about Rogue One. I'm blanking on the guy's name, proving my point from earlier. No, not Gareth. The guy that came in and gutted the script.
Tony Gilroy.
Oh.
Yeah, who doesn't like Star Wars. He didn't like Rogue One. He came in to do what was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And I think someone like JJ has so much care for them that he's going to round out this sequel trilogy wonderfully. And I want him to be involved in the future, but that doesn't necessarily mean he has to be directing and writing and all these other things. I think just having him kind of supervise would be wonderful.
If Disney grabs Bad Robot and beats out WB, whoever's going against them, that would be a step in that direction. Especially if, like we've talked about this, if Kathleen Kennedy's like, you know what, guys, I think I'm done. And JD's like, you know what? Let's give this a shot.
Tag in.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Lyndon. And next we're going into the future.
Whoa. Into the future. Yeah. The post office.
Next up is Mandalorian
Fly
Mark
like an eagle.
at Mark Mandalorian. I wonder what he's going to ask about. He asks,
Clone Wars?
how deep into the Mandalorian lore will # The Mandalorian get into eventually? James, you love The Mandalorian. You love lore. This question was made for you.
What makes this easy is the word eventually at the end, because eventually, yeah, lots. Great stuff. If Jon Favreau continues to be a showrunner for a season 2, 3, 4, whatever, however long they want to go, I don't see this dude not being like, dude, I get to write this stuff. Like, he's kind of just doing it on his own. He's like, hold on. Can we make him this? What? I'm writing it? Yes. Like, I think that like his whole thing about how cool the Mandalorians are is definitely going to showcase it, because like they did this in Rebels, so it's kind of a thing, but like the Tar Vizsla stuff, he's like, they're like, is there anything that you guys have already done that's kind of cool? Well, we did the Tar Vizsla thing. He's like, I'm using that. That's sweet.
And like the holiday special. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff. I think that he's just going to have a field day with it. And I think The Mandalorian is called The Mandalorian because that is what the show is about. And it's not so much about the person, but it's also kind of about the culture. So, yes.
John, Mandalorian. Do you think the Mandalorian will go into the lore?
I don't know.
Mandalorian.
That is a good question.
Hey, I didn't even notice that. Dang it.
It would have to, the first season would have to end introducing something where this character, for some reason, goes back to Mandalore or something to bring in these other folks. Because this first season looks like it's going to be pretty much this guy as an outlaw. And you can't be an outlaw if you have a bunch of like-minded, people of your own. So that I think is going to be tricky. Now, when you say lore, you can get into the lore of Mandalore without bringing in a bunch of Mandalorians. I think that's possible. But then again, like, I also think they may bring in Boba Fett somehow into this, and he's not technically a Mandalorian. So I'm very curious how deep they go into the lore. I think maybe, like, not to be devil's advocate here or contrarian to James, but maybe it's called The Mandalorian because this is the guy representing Mandalore. Like, maybe that is it for this. Maybe because Clone Wars and Rebels explored that planet and those people so much, maybe we need to distance ourselves a little bit from it because there's a lot of Mandalorian content in Star Wars. So
I know, but Dave Filoni's involved, so you got to remember that guy's not going shallow baby pool level.
I know, but you almost feel like doesn't he want to branch out a little too? Like let's open up the net here, especially he's getting into live action. But this is really Jon Favreau's show, so I'm not saying they won't, but I'm just saying I'm curious to see what he ends up doing, and it's
I think
possible
this
he
is
does
branching out.
Yeah, me too.
This is saying there's a whole other war happening adjacent to the thing, and we're just opening the door now. The Mandalorian.
A Mandalorian?
No. I'm still waiting for George Lucas's spinoff, The Midichlorian.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you guys talked about this very in depth, if you will, this question. I think they're going to go pretty deep into the lore in Mandalorian, just because of how much Jon Favreau loves this character and Star Wars. And he's talking about how he used to write stories when he was 13 and he's working with Dave Filoni. Like, you're telling me these guys didn't just talk for hours and hours and hours and hours about the lore of Mandalore? Like, come on. It's going to go deep, and then it's going to be above my head because I'm not smart enough to
writing
understand.
in between his little journal in his room at home.
Just said deep and above in the same.
In between,
I'm drowning. I'm drowning in the Dave Filoni end of the Star Wars pool.
It's like his mom was probably like, John, you can write in your journal after you're finished with your Chorians.
Mandalorians.
I reject that.
All right.
Next is Mike, the Hondo maneuver. Harris.
The Holdo maneuver.
Yeah,
Holdo maneuver.
But we'll take
Harris.
Hondo maneuver for all the Galaxy's Edge fans.
Well, Smuggler's Mountain, baby.
Yeah. Harris at Sky Mauler. He asks, all the focus is on the potential for Old Republic films in the works. But if they were doing something else, another focus or era, what would you all want to see?
Lacey first.
Yeah. It's gotta be
I
Lacey.
only want to see the Old Republic. I don't know. Another era? Maybe something way after the Skywalkers, like in the future where things have gone, or maybe, it's a big galaxy. I'm sure there's planets and stories that have nothing relating to the Empire or anything like that you could tell. This is a tough question for me, only because I really, really want a Knights of the Old Republic TV show or movie. So for you to say, what's something that you want that's not the thing that you want, is a tough question, Mike. And I'm going to pass it to James.
The obvious to me is the 7 and 8 thing. I think everybody's like waiting for that era to be explored. But my two real answers are the era that I'm in right now, reading Master and Apprentice, the pre-Phantom Menace. I think like right before that stuff goes down is a really interesting time because there's stuff going on in the galaxy where this is a time where people still really trusted the Jedi and they were handling things in a very specific way. And there's still a lot to explore when it comes to like the prophecies and who they were putting in command and stuff. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
I still think
interesting.
If they're going to do a TV show that's about characters that aren't the core Star Wars characters, doing something kind of in the vein of Lost Stars where like it's between 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, but it's just kind of like adjacent, but also on Hoth, or something. I think that stuff could be really cool as well, especially a TV show, because it'd be like, I feel like this is a deleted scene, but it looks so real, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
I took like every era.
I mean, I do like the idea of telling stories that happened before The Force Awakens. It's just hard to think of other time frames because until we know how far of a gap is between 8 and 9, we can't even say that because we don't know how long it's been. And then between 7 and 8, it's been like 3 days. So it's like, I want to know what happened that one day.
How many years before the Phantom Menace is the Old Republic considered? Is it 1,000 years?
Hundreds of years. Yeah.
Hundreds?
Right?
No, I think 1,000.
1,000, right? So before Yoda.
Yes.
Okay. So then, because I was gonna say, it'd be interesting to see the time right up until Yoda. I don't want to see a Yoda prequel story. I don't want to see young Yoda going to high school and learning he has the Force and having to deal with like his Yoda acne and that sort of thing. But I would like to see what the era of the Force was like when Yoda was about to come into it. I think that'd be interesting to see what the Force was like during that time.
Who came before Yoda, you're saying?
Yeah, so not necessarily the Sith and the rule of two, but the light side of it and like where teaching Jedi and how he, who else was teaching in that era, because he said for over 800 years he was teaching Jedi, so he was about 100 years old when he started teaching Jedi. So what was it like in that time just before Yoda without giving us Yoda? You know what I mean? So what was the atmosphere and the vibe like, and maybe other characters that Yoda could have been inspired by and that sort of thing?
It would be cool if like the final season of that television show or whatever is a character saying, like kind of encapsulating the whole series and then being like, but I have a feeling some things are about to change. And then he like looks over and there's like a Yoda species family with a baby. Yeah. And like that's, they
Lion King
kind of a giveaway.
Like, we'll call him
sort of like maybe
Yoda.
You don't even see him, but like you just see and like that's what that means.
And then it goes to credits and you just hear like
yeah.
All about
or
the laughs.
Father does it. Oh, that would be even better.
If Yoda's father laughs like that?
Laughs and it's very like similar.
Yes. Yeah. That'd be cool.
They get Frank Oz to do Yoda's father.
Yes. That'd be cool.
All
Mike,
right, we're off on a tangent.
Thanks for your question. We hope you enjoyed the answer. Last but not least is the kind of vacans. The kind of vacans.
Yo, Mark, what up?
At _kind_awakens. And he asks, I heard B&W and RJ are working closely together as they plan the new movies. Do you think their stories will connect loosely, or do you think their storylines will intersect and maybe even culminate in a final movie, a la Avengers? So I'm getting a little confused only because working closely to me was from the Kathleen Kennedy interview where she said, yeah, we're working closely with them, which to me doesn't mean they're working closely. It means that she's working closely with them.
So to clarify, this is David Benioff and D.B. Weiss and Rian Johnson.
Yes, correct. Because I remember hearing her saying, yes, those are in production. We're working closely with them. And they've said that a couple times, but I don't think that those two groups are working together. I think they're just working closely with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. And if that's the case, then no, I don't think they're going to intersect. I don't even think they're in the same time frame. I think Rian Johnson's going to be after Skywalker Episode 9. I think that theirs is going to be Old Republic. I really think it's Old Republic, guys, which is easily thousands of years apart. Like, they're different time periods. And they should be, because James has stressed this for over a year now. It's time for some new stories and new characters, and I don't think we need to have everything connected. Maybe they might make like little call outs and Easter eggs and stuff throughout their series, but I don't think we need the same things over and over and over again. And if the sequel trilogy has proven anything, it's that we do want new characters and we do want new stories and new people to connect with. So I think that they're not working closely and they're not connected.
So you don't want to see Dr. Evazan just appear in an Old Republic movie like, you just watch yourself. And you're like, you're here too?
How did you get here?
Yeah, how old are you? Like, why are people always getting in your way too? What's going on with you, man? Jeez.
Yeah, no. John, what do you think?
I agree with your assessment. That's how I took that too. I think Kathleen Kennedy just saying like, we're a team and we're all collaborating for the future, for the greater good of Star Wars. I don't think it's like, so David and DB are writing this treatment and Ryan has this character and they're using that. Like, I don't think it's like that at all. I almost got into JJ mode there for a second.
You did. I was waiting to see where you were going with that.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think that that's what's happening. So I'm with you there. I think it makes so much sense for Benioff and Weiss to do Old Republic. I'd be shocked if they don't. I think that's why they got those guys. To be honest with you, that just makes so much sense to me. You have a proven commodity. It's like, I need to bring someone in to do this awesome artwork, and it is a scenery, and it is a lot of trees, and the trees are happy. Bob Ross is available? No, let me get someone else to do that. No, you get Bob Ross, and he paints the happy trees. You do that with the Old Republic and Benioff and Weiss. They have a proven success story that everyone loves, so that makes so much sense to me. And then Rian Johnson, I have no idea. I'm still on the fence about this. I still am not 100% certain that we're going to see his movies happen, even though Kathleen Kennedy talked about it.
I think also
you're
it's
not
a
going to
strategic
hear anything about
move.
it this year. As I said last week, you're not going to hear a wink about Rian Johnson's movies until after Episode 9 comes out.
Right. And it's a strategic move to use the term working closely because, yes, that means that they're working with them, but she might have chosen those words to make it seem like we're supporting whatever they're doing, even if they haven't done anything.
And if she doesn't say Rian Johnson at all during Celebration when people ask her about it, red flags everywhere. So she had to say something, and she gave us a very small answer saying, yep, Ryan's working. He's
right, because people were wondering where he was, why wasn't he there?
Because if she's glossed over their mention of him and then talked about everything else, every trade would be like, Kathleen Kennedy avoids the Rian Johnson question.
Yeah.
And then it explodes everywhere, and then Rian Johnson can't even tweet about it at that point. So it's just to me, I'm not a tinfoil guy. I'm not, but something, I don't know.
Would you say it's something fish-nunny going on?
Nope, I wouldn't say that.
Fish nutty. It's not jacked fish, I'll tell you that.
I think it's funny, John, you were like, why did they bring in these guys, to have them do something else? And I just kept thinking about The Mandalorian. They're like, all right, this guy, he's a Mandalorian. He's going to be flying around in a jetpack. Who recently did guy flying around in a jetpack well? Who did Iron Man? Jon Favreau? Get Jon Favreau.
Ton of armor.
Yeah. Suit of armor. Hardly ever takes the helmet off.
Kind of only cares for
all
himself, but yet has a heart of gold. That guy.
Yeah.
Who directed The Rocketeer? Are they not available? We'll get Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Well,
but no, I think Lacey, you said it exactly right. The working closely thing. I have had this kicked around to me before too, that somebody, was discussing the possibility of the Avengers are big. This makes sense. You do a movie, you do another one, and all these kind of tie in and it leads up to a big event film. And maybe that's a way that the Star Wars franchise could be handled in the future. And I actually think I don't know. I really think that there's such loose connectivity in Star Wars. I think their biggest thing is variety. They want these stories and these stories and these stories to all be completely separate in the same way that they're releasing Mandalorian and Resistance at the same time,
Right.
This takes place then, this takes place then. This one's for adults, this one's for kids. This one's cartoons, this one's live action, this one's cartoons. They're definitely all about separation, and I think that if they're gonna have this goes back to the movie Sunshine. They have two last chances, and two, I'm not saying it right, but it's two last shots are better than one. And they have a chance at doing two really big franchises, and if one fails, then they still have the other one, and it doesn't rely on the first one. So what is that? I'm gonna have to think about it. I'll come back later.
I just
figure out what the
realized
exact quote is.
People are gonna yell at me because they know everything better than I do. But Joe Johnston was the director of The Rocketeer, and he started off with George Lucas doing concept arts and stuff for Star Wars. So that actually would have worked.
Nice.
They didn't think of The Rocketeer. They're like, darn it, we got Jon Favreau.
We got Favreau instead. I guess Star Wars just they like bringing in people with jetpacks, like you say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, to Kind of Vacants, thank you for your question. Thanks to everyone for your questions. This was a super question-packed episode. If you guys want to be on the show next week, you can tweet at us at RBATSWNN on Twitter. You can use the hashtag AskTheResistance. Any Star Wars question you want. Any era, any character, anything you want. And maybe you'll make it on the show.
Past, present, future.
Yeah. And you can direct all your Kylo questions to me. Back to you, Chewy Shirt John.
Yes, it's a little snug, but that's okay. The question vault is less full for sure, so keep those questions coming. Like Lacey said, we're going to need you guys, so we appreciate those. And you guys always send great questions, so thanks. First off, I just want to say, make sure, a lot of people are coming to the Resistance. We noticed a lot more followers on Twitter and a lot more subscribers on our YouTube channel, as well as iTunes and SoundCloud. Keep that coming. So if you haven't yet, if you're listening to us for the first time or you're a casual listener, pick a format, whether it's right here on YouTube if you're watching, or if you're listening on iTunes or SoundCloud or Spotify or a bunch of other, formats out there. Subscribe to it. So this way you're locked in. We do 2 free episodes every week, Mondays and Thursdays, so you don't fall behind, because this year is going to be so crazy with Star Wars. We want to keep you guys along the ride with us here. So make sure you are subscribed to one of those formats. As always, make sure every day you're going over to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's where we get all of our news from. I do writing and editing over there, and that should be your one-stop shop for all Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. We do have a Patreon page too. So first, I would like to thank our Patreon generals, and that is Carmelo. He likes to be called a Gray Jedi. He's always running around somewhere and sending us pictures of food in our group chat. I think the latest was tacos. We have Brian Shalito. We have Don Boring and Aaron Quinton, who you saw last week on our Patreon pod race. Good job, fellas. And of course, Val Trichkoff, the young, the bright. The
14-year-old.
Yeah. But our Patreon page, guys, we have a little video we're going to be putting together in the future for you guys to show you what we've been doing the last 6 months. Finally, we've had a lot of great stuff going on. If you are interested in supporting us, for one thing, and then also checking out all of our exclusive material, a little extra access. As you saw on our Thursday episodes, you get to submit topics to the show in certain tiers and really get involved in some other special things we have going on. Head over to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Pick a tier, any tier, 1 to 5, starting at $2 a month, up to our general tier. As I just mentioned, we have our generals right there below. So thank you all who currently support us on our Patreon page. And again, if you're thinking about it and you like what we do, check out the Patreon page. At least go there and take a look. And if you're interested, hop on board. We appreciate it. Guys, as far as we go, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And pick up one of our shirts, because we have a big day coming up soon on May 23rd. I'll let James plug that, because I feel like I've been talking way too long. James, where can people find you and what can you plug?
Maybe Alicia should, because I wanted to say about the... I got my quote. You got to go see the movie Sunshine. You can follow me at Meyer Trunks, but you got to go see the movie Sunshine. The quote was, "We harvested all the Earth's resource to make this payload. This is humanity's last chance, our last hope, our best hope. Cyril's argument is sound. 2 last chances are better than 1."
What movie is this?
Such a good movie.
Is that what Cillian Murphy?
Sunshine. It's Cillian Murphy, but it's like a lot of people. It's Rose Byrne. It's Captain America. I can't think of his name.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans. It's a lot of people. It's such a good movie. Go see it. Go buy it. But make Solo 2 happen as well. May 23rd.
Yep.
Right. Yep. May 23rd.
Thursday.
Make Solo 2 happen day. Yep. If you have anything of ours that says make Solo 2 happen, take a picture of it, post it, get it on Twitter somehow, and use that hashtag, and we will retweet or promote. It's going to be crazy. Hopefully we can get the attention of some people. Trending would be brilliant, but I don't know if that will happen, but we can make it happen, just like Solo 2. And even if you don't, just use it. Just support the cause in general.
Tweet out one of the pictures of the design.
Yeah.
Or you could be wearing a Solo shirt.
Man, I wish I had this shirt, because it's a great shirt with a great premise behind it. So.
Do it with a Wookiee shirt on. Just fire away and
Photoshop it onto Chewbacca or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lacey.
Yeah.
You're last.
I know. I'm always last. Guys, you can find me
Save
on...
the best for last.
Oh, James. So nice. So lovely. Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and Ben Solo and how he's going to be redeemed, and it's going to be wonderful. And see you there.
What's your spiel going to sound like in January 2020. Like, what are you going to talk about?
So this is what it's going to be. So I was wrong.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I was right. Wow.
No, I would hope that I thought you were saying like, what am I going to do if I'm wrong?
He was.
No, I just meant what you're not going to be able to talk about his redemption anymore in your outro.
Well, I'm going to be sad, but
Yeah.
I'll just talk about how James is the best.
You'll be like Mark Hamill. It'll be like a lot of what could have happened tweets.
Hashtag missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
man.
And I'm just going to send Ben Solo pics like 2 at Star Wars with hashtag missed opportunities.
Well,
No, I'm going to love it no matter what it is, guys. I want something to be clear no matter what happens, whether...
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to have a great time.
Yeah, guys, as they said, 2 weeks from today, Make Solo 2 Happen Day. We're going to try to get as many eyes on that as possible. So if you do have Make Solo 2 Happen shirts, if you don't yet, today, probably order it now. Today's probably your last chance to get it in time by that day. So get it. If not, just grab the sticker design and tweet that out. Or like Lacey said, even if you just have a Solo shirt or anything, let's just get that hashtag going. Make Solo 2 happen. If they're talking about making a friggin' Willow sequel, which that movie made like $3 at the box office 30 years ago,
Right.
they can make Solo 2 happen. So
$3 30 years ago is like $5 billion.
it's like it's not impossible, okay, guys? So just do it and hashtag make Solo 2 happen. We can do this together. I know we can do it.
They know about it, guys.
They already
StarWars.com knows about
So
it. John
May
Kasdan knows about it.
May 23rd, hashtag make Solo 2 happen. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by, for listening, for entering the Resistance base. It's always open for you guys. You know that. And just one more time to our forever co-pilot, rest in peace, Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. We will miss you. You are now one with the Force. The princess, now you have to take care of her. Guys, thank you so much, and we will see you on Thursday with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast, and we'll see you around, kids.